You live in a world where the senses combine to create unique experiences. They work together in harmony with your surroundings to foster relationships, spark inspiration, build enthusiasm, find contentment. But take one sense away, and the experience suffers, sometimes with dramatic differences. For 30 years, the Ear Research Foundation at the Silverstein Institute has been instrumental in restoring the hearing of thousands of people throughout the world, opening a new way to find harmony in their lives.
I've been involved in R&D all my life and always wanted to find better ways to make people hear better and balance better and cure dizziness. And when I was at Harvard for 8 years, I had a lab where I did a lot of research. And when I went to Penn for 3 years, I had the same sort of academic lab where I was doing research projects. I wanted to continue my research efforts in a private setting, and so I started the Ear Research Foundation in '79.
From that small lab and research center, several crucial inventions were created. Surgical procedures were improved upon and perfected, new techniques developed, and the Ear Research Foundation began to find a place of favor and prestige throughout the world's medical community. Perhaps most importantly, the Ear Research Foundation's fellows, doctors who came to learn and to partner with the foundation, are now operating in over 30 locations throughout the United States.
What the fellowship does is it basically gives you about 5 years of experience, of really good experience packed into 1 year.
It's very heartwarming to see what our efforts here and our educational and teaching efforts are promoting. All of these guys are doing great jobs.
However far-reaching the impact of the Ear Research Foundation, it begins with an individual with a need.
My hearing deteriorated now to approximately 90 dB lost in my left ear, which I still have a hearing aid on. 1982, I lost total hearing due to another virus, as I was told by a doctor, in my right ear. So from 1982 to 2009, I guess that's 27 years, I've been totally deaf in this ear.
I started noticing after a while that I never placed a phone to my left ear. It would always go to my right ear. But it really wasn't until my 50s when progressive loss just really caught up, and I finally did get a hearing aid for the first time. Then veneers came along, and I was beyond the help of a hearing aid at that point.
I would like have to have people to repeat questions like several times, and you can see the frustration on their faces.
Well, we brought her home when she was 5.5 from China, and we knew she was profoundly deaf, and I had researched implants prior to bringing her home. And so we met with Dr. Wazen. He confirmed that she was a candidate, and we went through the testing and so forth, and she was implanted on her right side in February of '07 and her left side in March of '08.
This is a cochlear implant, perhaps the most remarkable of the new instruments of hearing. Once activated, it takes some getting used to. That's why Ear Research Foundation has frequent seminars covering innovations in hearing restoration, free lectures throughout the community, and multiple support groups for those individuals who are sharing their knowledge about these evolving technologies. Although the cost of such devices and certain medicines or procedures are sometimes prohibitive, the Ear Research Foundation's doctors and medical professionals donate their time and money to reach out to those who cannot afford this kind of care. And they team up with other community organizations, such as the Sarasota Club, to provide hearing aids and implants created to improve or restore hearing.
My wife has been after me for some time because she's becoming very aggravated with her inability to be able to communicate with me. She says, get something done or leave the house. So I left the house, went to Sarasota, and found the solution.
We really try to focus our indigent care and the hearing screenings and the hearing aids and the different programs right here locally in the Sarasota community. Not to say that if we had a cochlear implant child from somewhere else that could come to Sarasota for treatment, that we wouldn't look to help that child, but for the most part, we focus those efforts locally. So education and research is more international, and then the treatment side is more local.
The doctors at the Ear Research Foundation understand that the sooner they can find a problem with hearing, the more likely the renewal. That's why preschool and school hearing screenings are set up consistently throughout the region. Many people simply don't know that there is a solution for their hearing loss. That's why community education is so important, and why Ear Research Foundation brings its message to the public so often and through so many channels. Today, with an effective infrastructure built on 30 years of study, development, innovation, and compassion, the Ear Research Foundation is poised to move forward with a new intensity. A spacious and more advanced laboratory is in the works at the headquarters in Sarasota. This will invite more doctors from around the world to come and study and learn and practice their skills under the guidance of some of the finest ear surgeons in the world.
I feel that a temporal bone lab is particularly important. They're becoming fewer in the country. Some of the academic institutions have put in labs, but for many of the practitioners, there's not much of an access to a hands-on experience, and particularly with guidance.
They want the very best for their patients. They're at the cutting edge of whatever they do. And what they want to do is build a research laboratory that will attract scientists and physicians from around the country.
There'll be two parts of the lab. One is to work on the inner ear, and the second part is to work on the implantable devices and the cochlear implant for children. And today we're having a lot of research into implantable devices to make people hear. Instead of having a hearing aid hanging outside, we'll have, in the future, there'll be implantable hearing aids, and we'll be involved with working on that in the new lab.
The Ear Research Foundation will also expand the compassionate outreach to those who cannot afford hearing devices, such as the cochlear implants or the Baha devices or other hearing aids. And the community education and screening will increase to include an even larger area and more young students and older adults.
I think the biggest thing is that it continues to be on the cutting edge. At this particular point with Herb and I would say his passion, along with Seth and Jack, they just do things differently, they think differently.
The fact that we're getting most of our revenue already in place from the efforts of Herb Silverstein and the Silverstein Institute, and the fact that we've got this building here and we have very controlled overhead, enables the Ear Research Foundation to really focus the dollars that it does receive from outside donations. And I think that the board recognizes that, which is why 100% of our board donate heavily to the Ear Research Foundation.
You're able to, instead of provide, you know, 1 to 2 $30,000 to $40,000 surgeries per year for people that can't afford them, how about 10 to 20? You know, something like that. You're giving money and you see the direct benefit immediately medically. I mean, how much more powerful can you get than that?
The children's faces and how they light up when they hear sound for the first time. It's like the whole world has opened up to them. It's very exciting.
Helen Keller's quote, "When you lose your eyesight, you lose things. When you lose your hearing, you lose people," continually resounds through the hallways and labs of the Ear Research Foundation. That's why we're not only continuing this good work, we're expanding to do even more. Because no one with a hearing loss should continue to suffer in silence.
After being deaf in my right ear for 27 years I can now hear you standing on my right in a whisper. And it's changed my life.
We put a headband test on these people to get the bone conduction device to test them in the office. And more often than not, there are tears of joy of, oh my God, I can hear. You know, when can you do that? So it is a very emotional thing. Hearing is something that we all take for granted. And it just takes interaction with people who had it and who have lost it and who could get it back to realize the miracle of science and what technology today can do to restore the lost hearing.
Although my hearing over the years, since 1952 all the way up to 2009, has deteriorated, the state of technology has made my hearing better than it was when I first got my first hearing aid in 1952.
It has changed my life, but by having the hearing aid, most definitely.
I had been searching for a way out of my deaf world until I moved to Sarasota. I was introduced to Dr. Silverstein, and he was the first to introduce me to the opportunity of an implant. And I suddenly joined the hearing world again. This is an amazing device.
She was activated about 4 to 5 weeks after she received her implant. And the first thing that she heard was, "Leah, can you hear me?" And then she started crying.
I found very strange. Leah. Hi, baby. You heard me. You heard Mama. It's okay, sweetie.
It's okay. And that was it. That was the beginning.
Very good. You're welcome. Yes. She's doing good.
Please visit our website at earsinus.com and learn more about the Ear Research Foundation at the Silverstein Institute. There, you'll find comprehensive information about hearing loss and how we correct it. You can also find CDs for sale from Doc and the Ear Originals, a jazz band whose players include Dr. Silverstein and Dr. Wazin from the Foundation. You can also call us to schedule a tour of our facility to experience firsthand the compassionate care we provide for our patients.